So we do have a small group and we don't have a speaker, but I figured we're all pretty chatty on our own. So I wasn't worried, especially if I knew Dan was going to be here today. Um, he never fails me. So I thought I could do a few announcements that we're doing for the chamber to make sure everybody's aware of what's going on. And then also, we could just go around the room, give updates to start the year, and then I will be reaching out and getting speakers lined up for this next few months. So that's where I'm at on that part of it. And I'm quickly getting to some links for you guys. Today we extended the deadline, but today is the last day for nominations for the awards banquet that's on the 18th. So we're talking only 14 days away. So it's super easy peasy to nominate somebody. I'm missing in the category of, we're working on it, but Ag, Youth of the Year, First Responder, none of those have any nominations. And as far as Woman of the Year, I only have one. I usually like to have at least two. So kind of makes it easier. But you can submit for any of the things. I will tell you that educator and volunteer, I have enough for the next 3 years. Do not submit one of those. We're all good on that one. So, but anyway, so that's kind of where we are on that. You can, that link is there that you can do the nominations. And then also, obviously, if we have a banquet to give out awards, we have tickets to be purchased for the tables and such. So there you go for that. We want to make sure all of that. And then our last piece that we're doing that's big is we are doing a Scotland trip. We had our informational meeting. Dan, you and I need to connect. But in there is the registration link. We are doing a special group travel with a company that has been working with chambers for over 30 years. And they do this as a non-dues revenue for chambers. We have a registration, it's a non-refundable deposit that actually stays with the chamber for us doing all the registration, the promotion, making sure people get to the bus, make sure they have all the information that they need. So we get to keep, I'll be upfront, we get to keep $300 per passenger that goes on this. But it is a heck of a deal. It's $3,500, $34.99. That includes your flight to Edinburgh and back. It includes all your hotels. It includes most of your meals. You have a few that are on your own. It includes all of your entrances to the museums and all of the points of interest that you guys end up going. It pays for the coach that you're on, and then also your tour guide. So it's a pretty good deal for the $34.99. I think I may have mentioned it in this group. I'm not sure, but John and I did it this summer to try it out. We wanted to see how much walking was involved, how much was this, how much was that, what was the rates, to make sure it's something we wanted to offer. And we would go back in a heartbeat and do the tour, the same one we just did, do it over. And I would go with you in next June, except that I promised Lisa Rundell. So I value my life. So Lisa Rundell's going with the group this next year. So it'll be June 22nd through the 30th. And we've already got, we have 5 already registered. But we have probably about 6 to 8 more that want to go on that group. We do not have a cap. It can be as many as we want because they will just provide more coaches and accommodate however big our group is. So you will be bused from the Dalles to the airport. You do not have to drive down to the airport and park your car and pay for that. It's all provided. So we will have a whatever bus I arrange, they pay for it out of all of this registrations. So pretty fun. It was very eye-opening, very historical, lots of fun, lots of tradition. Yes, we did have haggis twice. And we thought it was just fine. So John came home with scotch, yes, and gin. And I came home with lots of our tartan, and blankets and plaids and everything for the Farquharson coat of arms and crest. So it was fun because our name was almost in every souvenir store. They know me. So that was the fun part. But we saw everything, castles, and yes, it was quite educational, but gorgeous and beautiful. So if you know of anybody who wants to do a trip, but thinks it might be more fun to go with some people that they know, this would be a great way for them to go to Scotland and try that out. We're going to see how this goes, and then we might offer some in the future for different locations as far as the chamber goes. We are getting things geared up for 2024. As we know, it's already here and it's already into the first week. It's crazy how fast time is flying. We are working diligently on sponsorships for the Cherry Festival. We are also working on getting, we'll be putting the word out here shortly for vendors for the sportsman shows. We will be doing the Portland and the Redmond. Portland is in February, so we'll be up there from a Tuesday through Sunday, and we'll have a double booth. And we every year invited different chamber members and non-chamber members to come up and be a part of that booth. They can sell whatever they do for their product. And also get the exposure, and they only have to pay for themselves to get up there and go home. We cover the rest in the booth. And so we'll be doing that in February, and then we're doing the Redmond in March and doing the same thing again. That one we have a triple booth. They're a really good demographic for us, and they seem to be very interested in the Dalles. So we will be taking more vendors down there. I know Tom Woods with Wood Family Spirits with his bourbon and vodka will be in our booth. We have a cool booth, by the way. We have food, we have Plinko, we've got alcohol, so we're a pretty cool booth. Last year was the first time ever I've seen a line to do stuff at our booth. I was like, oh my gosh, the Dalles moved up a rank. People are coming to line up to do different things and enter the basket and try the alcohol and see if they want to purchase. So Tom did really well. He wants to be there for the entire show for both of them this time. He was only there for a couple days last year, and he says, nope, we're coming the whole time. We did so good in our sales. So it's a great exposure for people here in the Dalles to come there, whether you're a guide, have outdoor gear. I'll be talking to the new one downtown, Skookums, and talking to a few other people like Lindsay and her garland, the do-it-yourself garlands for the workshop. I'm hoping that we can have some of that down there to sell out of the booth and just see how it works. So there's that. Again, if you know of somebody who would be a good speaker, send me their name and contact, and I'll reach out to them and get them scheduled for community affairs. And we're still doing our networking events. We're looking for hosts for the morning buzz, and we're looking for hosts for the business after hours. We do Wired with the Chamber every Wednesday. It's no host, it's down at Scoopers, and for coffee, and if you want, ice cream. And then of course, every Thursday, this group. So that's kind of what we have going on. This is our busy time of the year. Believe it or not, this is the busiest that we are all year long, is between January 1 and April 30th. Then we take a deep breath and dive into summer. So, but that's what the chamber has going on. If you know of anybody who wants to volunteer because they want to stay engaged, and they're that greeter, that people person that doesn't want to lose touch, or just help people with their adventures, please let us know. We could use a couple volunteers now and then. And so that's always fun to have them in the front office. You get to meet the funnest people. So that is what we have going on at the chamber. Any questions now that I just spewed that all out in less than 10 minutes? No.
Lisa,
Yeah.
now you may have mentioned it before, but I saw that the Dalles was
Oh, number
identified
7.
as one of the top Western
Yep.
cities in the country.
Yes.
And
number 7.
I don't know if you talked about that, but I thought, well, that must be Lisa working.
Behind the scenes. So the True West magazine, it is a national magazine. And they every year, their January edition is the top 10 true Western towns. True Western does not imply that they're cowboys and Indians and rodeos. True Western looks at the roots, it looks at the history, it looks at, we're the Lewis and Clark, we're the Oregon Trail, we have the Discovery Center, which just represents amazing things. Then we have that Fort Dalles Museum. And to have all of that history here in our town, we also have the floozies. That does help. But they look at what the roots are. Are you still honoring your beginnings? And that's what they're looking for. It doesn't have to be fancy dancy. It doesn't have to be celebrations all year round. They're looking at your roots and are you honoring them? And that is what we did. And so we are number 7 in the nation this year. So we're pretty excited. We'll be putting that out more and more. They finally sent me a press release. Because it has to come from them. So I'll be putting that out this next week, and we'll be able to celebrate a little bit more. And so we also, on the 2nd, we had forgotten it over the Christmas break, but we'll go back and get bits and pieces. We took over the entire AM Northwest show. It was the Dalles for the entire broadcast for the AM Northwest on, I believe, KATU. Yeah, I think it's KATU. Or it's Coin. It's one of the two. So I've dealt with all of them this year. So, but we've been doing segments to tell the story of businesses in our downtown and around us. And so they took parts and pieces of all those segments and put it together and made a full episode for AM Northwest on January 2nd. So we'll try to go and get some of the footage on that. And then there will be more. February, there will be, I think February and March, there will be 3 more
Lisa, either you dropped
episodes.
video or I did.
Oh, can you hear me?
Not video, audio.
Oh,
Hear you.
can you hear me now?
There.
Okay, so February and March, we'll have 3 more episodes airing, featuring 3 more businesses on that KATU in the AM Northwest and Afternoon Live. And so that'll be happening. That's a campaign that we did this year to do that. We're also bringing in new bass tournament starting May, once a month, May, June, July, August. They are an open bass tournament, so there's no stipulations on any associations you can belong to. So anybody in the Northwest or anywhere else can come and fish in that tournament. And so we are sponsoring, but it'll be 4 events, 2 nights each, and we've already got them staying at Cousins and worked out with Tonkin, a parking lot with security and power. And so they will be coming in our town and fishing. And Drain Raider has done a good job. We'll also have our logo and such on his boat and his trailer. So we'll have a billboard going down the freeway because he lives in Eugene. So our Explore the Dalles logo is going to travel down the I-5 and I-84 corridor a lot this summer. So that was one of the things. It was almost cheaper to do the sponsorship than it was for me to put a logo on a bus a few years ago. And so those are some of the different odd out of the box tactics that we're using to help promote our community. See, and I could just keep on going, but let's go around the room. So tell you what, if there's no questions for me, we'll just start with my upper corner. Travis, what do you have for us for updates?
Happy New Year, everybody. Good to see everyone. So updates. And so Lisa, I think for speakers, if there's a possibility, maybe one of our primary care physicians, if not the chair of primary care, Dr. Jane Corboy, could be speaking. We'll be launching a large campaign for our primary care. We have a full bench of providers. I think we have 1 MD joining us in May, which puts us at 1 MD short of having a completely full provider team in pediatrics, internal medicine, and family medicine. So I think everyone knew there was a struggle. We lost some key OHSU providers. We recruited some OHSU providers to join MCMC and eventually Adventist Health Columbia Gorge. And now we have a full team. We are taking new patients. So our mission in Q1 and Q2 is to reestablish the confidence that we lost in those people who may have left our care and invite them back. And then, of course, continue to take care of those who hung with us through the hard times. So we're really excited for this. Dr. Jane Corboy is a fantastic chair of primary care, and it's really good to be in this position moving into the new year. Our specialty clinics are full with all providers, and you know, we're in a really good spot right now. As we talk about Adventist Health, we are moving into kind of a really strong heavy lift to integrate and onboard by March 17th. That's when we'll fully transition to Adventist Health systems. So you can imagine all the back end work with IT and technology and payroll and time cards. We're having a very large employee onboarding event. There's 900 of us that need to basically provide Adventist Health with our information so they have it and we become part of their entire system. We'll be hosting that in February. Lisa, I do need to probably just sidebar with you. I do need to get a transportation company. I've got probably 20 plus Adventist Health corporate HR employees that will be here for 2 weeks straight. I think they already have a block at the Holiday Inn booked out, but they're looking for some sort of bus transportation from the airport and potential rental cars here in the Dalles. So maybe I'll just shoot you a note and we can kind of
let's do that. I have some thoughts already on that, so shoot me a note.
Awesome. Yeah, because I think we're kind of struggling with that here. That's not something that we typically do. But anyways, it'll be good to have everyone, that kind of team here in the Dalles, getting to know our community, see the rural health community that we provide care for, getting to know our employees. It'll be a cool special 2 weeks here of that activity happening. Dr. Winnie Wong will be on Al Win next week, as well as Mid-Columbia Today, Mark Bailey. So for those of you who have not had the chance to hear about Dr. Winnie Wong, she is our director of radiation oncology at Celilo Cancer. She is very passionate. I think she's kind of made her rounds in our community. I've heard she's been playing pickleball. She's doing a lot of jogging. She's very much on the scene. She has a very good LinkedIn game. So if you're on LinkedIn, please look for Winifred Wong. And she does a lot of great things for Celilo. She did a good, strong Movember campaign. And most importantly, she's taken the baton from Dr. Keith Stelzer and really he's very proud of the work that she's done in elevating our radiation oncology practice. So I think most of you are aware that we unveiled the linear accelerator last year in March. And I think to date, we're over 120 plus patients that have been treated by that state-of-the-art cancer treatment technology. So that's pretty unique and cool. And I think Dr. Wong is seeing 20 plus patients a day. So we're really proud to have Celilo stood back up. And of course, that could not happen without our partnership with Knight Cancer Institute. We're still seeing patients with Knight Cancer Institute. We're looking to deepen that partnership. Dennis and the executive team and Adventist Health legal counsel are all in conversations with how we can expand that partnership and take it even into greater lengths with more stability. So I'm very excited for that. In partnership with Knight Cancer Institute, they have a Pathfinder 2 study, which is very unique. Lisa, I will send you the flyer and then maybe we can kind of pass it around when we're ready to start kind of seeing people on campus. So it is I believe it is, if you were to do this on your own, it is about a $2,000 study. And what it does is it kind of looks for ear markers within your DNA, bloodstream, etc., to kind of see if there is the possibility that you may have some traits that could lead to cancer down the road. There are some particulars as far as demographics and age, but if you know people who may want to get this study done, we'll be rolling out Wednesdays from 8 to noon at Celilo Cancer Center for 4 people, 1 day at a time, to kind of come in and be a part of the study. And then in April, we're going to do this really cool, fantastic event on site at Celilo Cancer Center where we're going to open it up to the entire community for anyone who really wants to come and be a part of it. So I'm waiting on some approvals from Knight Cancer on collateral material. So hopefully within the next week or two, I'll have it to share and send over, and would really encourage yourselves or anyone you know who may fit the age and the demographics to take part in the study.
When in April?
Jeff, if I can interrupt there, what is the age demographic that would be prime? Because an old guy like me, 10 years, I'm gonna have something or else.
Bill, I don't know an old guy like you. I know a young, enthusiastic county commissioner,
Yeah, okay.
former school teacher. So I think that for males, for white males, it's 60 and above. For other ethnicities, it's 50 and above. And then for women, 60 and above. And then for other ethnicities, it's 50 and above. So I think it's 50 and above is definitely the age. And then depending on what your ethnicity is could be 60. So
I'm sorry, I know you're not a doctor, but I'm surprised it wouldn't be a young cohort, people in their 20s who could have a longer runway.
I think they started with 50s, and they had so much at other locations. They had so many other people come in that demographic that they really need to kind of shift and bring in some other folks to make sure that it was a really diverse study. But yeah, I was surprised it wasn't younger, but yeah, I don't know much about the study, just what I'm supposed to market.
So Phil, Rita and I, we participated in the study, I believe it's the Pathfinder study through One Community Health when they were recruiting people to be a part of the study. And it was simple. It took a little bit while, you had to give a blood sample and a lot of questions to answer. And you would expect to have some kind of follow-up every year, I think.
Mhm.
But it was a very simple study, and really, you thought, well, this would be you're helping the future as far as identify these benchmarks or whatever for cancer. So I would highly recommend it.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Yeah, I'll get the flyer out. And Lisa, to your question, I think you said in April.
Yeah,
I
when
think
in April?
We're looking at the 16th through the 18th. So they would do 3 full days of seeing 8 hours worth of people. And I'll have a flyer on that too. Like kind of what they're wanting to do is kind of baby step their way with these Wednesdays at Celilo for 4 hours. And then in March, we'll launch a full community participatory event for anyone who qualifies to attend.
Okay. Just so you guys know, that is the week leading up to Cherry Fest. Cherry Fest starts on the 19th, just so you know. It's no big deal. It's a different demographic, but we will be having lots of activity in town. So that's just a thing to keep in the back.
We'll have to do some collaborative marketing. Get your Pathfinder 2 study and then go here to get.
You can get a cherry and go here.
Yeah.
Cherries are healthy. We can figure out something. So yeah, but just so you guys have that on your radar.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll be doing a float where I think there's a committee already getting formed to really make sure that we have a lot of visibility in the parade and the event this year. So I'm trying to think really what else we've kind of got going. That's really kind of it, what I can think of right now. We had our first baby born in the new year. It was January 2nd, or January 1st. And what was kind of cool is the grandmother has a January 1st birthday too. So kind of
fun.
Yeah, really kind of special for the family. So we're excited for that. I think right now it's just it's kind of all hands on deck to get this integration up, going successful, and making sure that we represent not only ourselves as employees, our organization, our community when it comes to Adventist Health, but also making sure that they kind of understand our identity and who we are and who we're striving to serve. So we're really excited for this year, and I think there's a lot of good things to come.
Great. Thank you. Scott McKay.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Scott McKay, working with Circles of Care, Community Liaison, and we're continuing. We took a week off for between Christmas and New Year's, and that was kind of nice to be able to go down to San Diego and visit, in California, to visit the kids. So once again, like I always say, we're always looking for volunteers. We have a volunteer meeting coming up next Tuesday at 1 o'clock at the Mid-Columbia Senior Center. And just for current volunteers and potential volunteers to learn more about, circles of care. A couple side efforts have been, I'm still working with Ronnie Hyde from Gobi to move forward a dementia-friendly community for the Dalles. And we are having some discussions with Beth Maisel from Baker City, who's a college professor who's doing the same thing in Baker City, in Baker County, and trying to learn, best practices from her, what worked and what hasn't. The main thing we picked up is that education about dementia in order to reduce the stigma of it is maybe the first step in creating a dementia-friendly community. I think I can share this conversation I had with Randy Haynes. And when I asked him, what would you think about what would we need to be a dementia-friendly community? And he said education. Education would be the number one thing. And just to help people understand, it's not just memory lost. It affects your body in many ways, your sense of taste, smell, tactile, and it affects a lot more. And then he said the one thing he really particularly dislikes is when he shares that he has dementia with folks. They will say, "Oh yeah, I understand. I have memory. I forget things too." And he says they have no idea what dementia really is if you're living with it. And I thought, oh, I've done that many times. So I thought, well, I better change my practices. But so we're working with people with a dementia-friendly community. I know of at least four folks who'd be willing to speak out publicly, like Randy, and trying to realize that there's many people in your community who have dementia and are still living with some support independently and still living a life. And it's not like the end of the world. So working on that. And then the second one is Age Plus, which is the parent for Circles of Care. They had received a grant to do a program called Let's Look Together. And the goal of that program is to educate the community about ADRC, Aging and Disabilities Resource Connection, which is a program run through the local area agencies on aging, and it can connect you with different resources for if you're an older adult or you're a care partner for an older adult. And it's a great resource. It's a website, which like many websites get a little confusing, but there's you can make a local call. Well, in this case is Pendleton because of Capco covers the whole region. And they run the AAA. And so it's just to get people realize there's a resource, there's a information referral agency that will help you find resources to meet your needs. If you're looking for what's my future as far as long-term care, and where can I, find appropriate housing, or where can I find some in-home caregivers, that type of thing. So everyone should be aware of ADRC. You may be aware of 211. I think we've had a speaker talk about 211, which is another resource and referral. In fact, it's a nonprofit, but if you're an older adult or caring for an older adult, ADRC is what I would recommend where to go to find information about the resources in your community. So that's let's look together, dementia-friendly community, and then the basic work of helping and support older adults who live in the homes. And you find out through Circles of Care, there's a lot of folks we know who are living independently who have dementia. So that's one reason why I'm really interested in, helping promote a dementia-friendly community. So I think those are three things from my, from my room over here. So thank you, Lisa.
Thank you. Phil Brady?
Kathy Clark, our administrative assistant, who keeps us organized, and advised me that when the kind of groups that you folks run take to have vacation time, there's a lag. We get a vacation time too at the county commission because things aren't pushed, directed up toward us. And then there's this lag, and it's going to hit us at the end of this month that everybody's got to come back and push. So I don't have a lot going on. I'll leave it there. Dan Spots wanted to talk about housing. I think that'd be a good topic to bring up. I noticed this, there's nobody here at the city. They had quite a discussion at the city council back on December 11th regarding the updating the city plan. And I think that's something I'd like to hear more about. Also, another topic that's nobody here from the city, but as you heard, the city as how to say it, St. Vincent de Paul, not St. Vincent de Paul, but the community meals that happen in St. Vincent de Paul is not going to be happening. And that'd be something good to get out ahead of in terms of getting the information out why that's happening or not happening.
Okay, they did send out a press release yesterday, and it's been delivered lots of different places with everybody's interpretation. So they are in negotiations. It is not a permanent thing. So they have paused the litigation between them, and St. Vincent's is coming to the city, and they're going to work to try to come up with a solution. We don't know what that is, as we're all trying to ponder what is the solution. But it has gotten really bad in our neighborhood. And so a solution does need to be found. So that is what they're trying to do. And so us as neighbors have been informed that that is in the process. Yes, it will be closed. There are other places to get food. And so they're giving us a resource list at the chamber so that we can help, because we will be the door that they come in and ask. And so the city's getting us a sheet of all the different places they can go get food and the things that they can do. So that is what we're going to do. I don't know what that will do. I've prepared my staff that we could have some very upset people, very irate people, agitated, or they could just not be here because there's no resource for them. We don't know what's going to happen once it closes on Friday. So, but we do know that the litigation wasn't withdrawn. It was just put on pause, and that was an agreement between St. Vincent's and the city. So in hopes that they can come to some agreements, hopefully some solutions, how to be a better neighbor if we continue that, how to have a safer neighborhood if we continue the meals there, or to see if the meals can be somewhere else. We don't know. We don't know what those options are. So obviously they're digging into that, and hopefully they'll come up with something as soon as possible.
Now, Lisa, my understanding from talking with a St. Vincent de Paul board member, this might have been a year ago at least, that it gets a little complicated because there are like three organizations, separate organizations: St. Vincent de Paul, which has its board, Community Meal, which has its board, and then Bread and Blessings, which is another organization that provides meals, my understanding at least. And so I get confused when they say St. Vincent de Paul is going to be closing down for temporarily at least, and that that Community Meal will no longer be serving meals, and I get confused between the difference between the facility itself and the programs that are run out of that facility.
So right
so-
now, the building itself is going to be closed. So you can't run those programs out of it right now. Now, that doesn't say that they can't move those programs to another location or do something. I don't know. I really don't, because I'm not a part of those discussions, but the building itself will be locked up. No services will be provided of any kind there. Now, we do know if it gets cold, there are rooms available at the annex. They just have to go and sign in and register with them, and there is rooms that they can stay in, especially with the temperatures coming the next couple weeks of dropping. So there are the rooms are not full over there, and Kenny has a process in order to take people so that they can have some warmth and protection. So it's not, we're not a community that totally, once this shuts or closes temporarily, that we're without services. We have quite a bit. Center for Living has services with food. Their clients can get free lunches every day. I don't know what the Salvation Army and the Blessings are doing, or that. So there are different things. And that's what Matthew's supposed to be helping me get, is so I have a resource sheet so that we can inform people that there are some other resources in other locations, so they're not without. It's just a matter of people deciding if they're going to follow the rules so that they can stay there.
And with the navigation center, when it gets completed, that's going to be another resource
Yes.
for folks to go to. And
Yeah.
yes, the difficult part is when people can't, because of the situation, they can't make those good decisions, that would be in their best interest. And so that's the real tough nut to crack.
It is, and like I said, it's a real tough decision. Or what are the solutions? Obviously, all across the US, we're still waiting to see what that solution is, because we're not the only community that's battling this and trying to figure it out. But I do know that if you were to ask our police department, it's in the hundreds to 1,000 times that they've been to this street for situations. It is amazing how many times. And I mean, I know just from the chamber, there's been weeks that we've called them twice a day, every single day for 3 weeks in a row. We had police cars in our driveway. So it is an issue. It's unfortunate for the people who are following the rules and are doing the right things, but those are the people that we can get to other resources and get them taken care of. So they just need to be checking. I would check with MCAC, and I would be checking with Center for Living. If we know of somebody that's in a situation, those would where the two sources I would be sending them right away. So it's a tough one. It's not something that, and the city needs support. St. Vincent needs support. It's not anything that one person can figure out. So just put out as much positive out there that you can, because it's already dominated by the negativity and division. Everybody thinks they know exactly what's happening and why it's happening and who's not doing and who is doing. So, send them. Well, the press release is out there. It talks about it, and then we'll get the resources out there as soon as we get it, so that can be the positive. Here's the other resources that you can go and take advantage of. Okay, is that all you had for us today, Scott? Okay, David Peters.
Good morning, everybody. I'll just give you kind of a quick update. So we were expecting an answer last week for some of our, actually on the 22nd of December from Washington for a couple of grants we have in. They pushed that back at least till this week or later. So I'll keep you posted on that. That was, to remind you, it was for down payment of up to $100,000 in Clickitat County and $200,000 in Skamania County. So that would be significant if we can get that. It'd be it'd be a $3 million grant that we asked for. Then we also asked for about $1.5 million to develop the site in Carson for 14 homes for a community land trust. If that doesn't come through, at least we're on the radar. That's kind of one of our goals was for that. And then, we'll look at other ways we can get that developed. We do want to get that one going. We've had the land for about 7 or 8 years now. Maybe even a partnership with Habitat or something like that to get some of the homes built. We also have started doing some preliminary design work on, we can put up to about 4 homes near the high school on 10th Street. It's land that we own, and we've hired the architect. We've doing the survey, topo map, and all that. So that one's moving forward as well. As tying in some of the other programs we do. Well, we have the down payment money for veterans still. We have, so what is it? $30,000 grants available for veterans that we still haven't been able to get rid of. There's just, we had one so far, so I guess there's 9 that we have available. We've had 2 or 3 kind of start the process and for whatever reason fall through. So if you know a veteran that was interested in buying, there's 30,000. It's a grant, basically. It's a loan, but it's a forgivable loan in 5 years with no payment. As a bigger organization, we're somewhat involved with Grand Roads development in Hood River. And we recently, just at the end of the year, closed on Rhine Village. We purchased that in White Salmon, and we'll be doing some rehab work as we get that developed. Nothing's really been done yet, but we did get the purchase done, and now we're going to be working on that. So that's kind of a quick roundup of what we've been doing, keeping busy.
Okay, thank you. And Tanya?
I'll be quick so we can get Dan on here. So just want to let people know, Dancing with the Gorge Stars is next week. Northwest Natural is one of the sponsors of that. That's going to be on January 12th. So that's a fundraiser for the Mid-Columbia Community Concerts. So that would be a great entertaining time if you guys want to do that. It's at the high school. Lots of legislation and legal stuff going on between the state and so forth that have been beneficial to the natural gas companies, just with some of the rulings that have been not so generous in the past. So that's a good start for the new year for us and many of the other natural gas facilities in the state. And then talking about the pallet shelters, those were moved. As many of you guys know, they were right beside our office, but those were moved. I think it was the end of November that the city came and moved those. So they are all out there at the navigation center. And I thought they were going to possibly be using those as warming shelters if they needed to, but
I don't know.
yeah, so those are all gone. There's still a little bit of a mess over there by ours, over where the stuff was at, but just a little tiny cleanup left over. But the city said they'd probably be using that for gravel if they needed for snow, back like what they used to do. So yeah, so things are changing in our neighborhood. It's actually really quiet. It's very odd. So anyways, that's it for now. Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Tanya. I'll actually reach out and see if those pallets are being used for that, because that's be a good positive word to put out there that we still have stuff. So Corliss, I'm going to save Dan for last. So Corliss, your turn.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year. Just the upcoming, I guess, in April, we're having a Cherry Festival quilt show. So we're gearing up for that. We have a huge raffle quilt that we're going to start selling raffle tickets for, but it's in conjunction with St. Peter's Landmark and the Herbring House. And it's put on by Cherry City Cut-Ups, which is a local quilt group here in the Dalles. And so we're gathering, trying to put it all together, getting the information, publicity, and things like that. So we're just starting, but you got to start early.
Yep. We'll make sure you get us information along the way as we start plugging different things in for that Cherry Festival info.
Great.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Spots, you can now go. We just like giving you a bad time, right?
I don't know that I had that much to add. This has been a fantastic conversation. I'm sorry to have been scarce these past couple of months. On St. Vincent's, Lisa, I'd like to talk with you about the schedule for community affairs and perhaps bring Matthew on board so that we can provide an update from his perspective with the city. Most of my work at the city is on the urban renewal side, urban renewal agency. I'm following that one, but I'd like to have Matthew to speak from that perspective. Phil, you had mentioned housing. I'd like to catch up with you and David, Joel, Councilor Richardson, and reconvene that discussion around land trust with city properties and others. So that's probably all I want to say right now in this forum. On urban renewal, we are revising the urban renewal plan. It hasn't been revised since 2009. We're bringing a consultant on board. We're going to have a pretty heavy discussion on January 30th to look at where we've been as an agency, and where we might go. There's about $6 million in remaining capacity in the Urban Renewal District. That's the Columbia Gateway Urban Renewal District, established in 1990. You can imagine how much history and change has occurred since then. That capacity will be completed in 2029. So how best do we invest basically $6 million? Some of that is already dedicated toward the Basalt Commons development, First Street. Some will be going toward Federal Street Plaza, but that leaves a balance. And so there's a pretty significant strategic discussion that needs to occur. We started through a series of workshops in November, December, continuing that January 30th, and then February, March, we'll have a revised plan that will really lay out the groundwork for the district, which goes away at this point in 2029, and whether the agency itself goes away. And part of this has been kind of a review of what has been accomplished. The Maritime Terminal, Union Street Portal, 2nd Street Underpass, Sunshine Mill rehabilitation. There have been some major projects, but enough folks have moved into town, they don't know that. And they're wondering, well, what's urban renewal? What has it ever done for the community? Done a lot, but the question is, do we continue? Do we create a new district? So again, these are some pretty significant questions. Some other things in urban renewal, the incentive program is continuing. You may have seen work on the Foley on 4th Street. That was through urban renewal assistance. The Stelzer property, the grocery, and my old building, the Dalles Chronicle, that is receiving urban renewal assistance. Sunshine Mill, we've completed an agreement for some interior work over there. So that program is out there. That's a grant program. We can do commercial, we can do upper story residential. We can cover the cost of system development charges for upper story residential. And I'm working with about 5 different property owners downtown with the idea of a coordinated request focused on upper story residential, getting that 24/7 vibrancy to downtown, the Dalles. A few other topics on the Brownfield program. This is rehabilitation of underground storage tanks. We're just about completed the $600,000 grant that the local coalition, city, county, port received 3 years ago. We've submitted a request for a new grant because $600,000 goes out the door. There's a lot of underground storage tanks that need to be located and mitigated. Asbestos also, that's another area that we can help with that. In the meantime, MCED has received $1 million grant, or they're in the process of rolling that out. So that will be a backup source right now for our region, but that's spread across 5 counties. We'll find out in the spring whether the EPA will replenish the grant for the city of the Dalles specifically. Airport design will start fairly soon. The city and Clickitat County, of course, jointly own the airport. And so in March, we'll be selecting an architect to design the aviation training hangar for Columbia Gorge Community College and expand infrastructure to the airport business park. That has turned from a $3.5 million into a $5.9 million project thanks to cost escalation. It took the EDA about 2 years to decide whether it was going to award a grant, and costs went crazy in the meantime. Richard Foster, my counterpart over in Clickitat County, is working with Washington legislators on a $1.4 million state appropriation that would close the budget gap that we have right now. Hopeful we have a backup plan through the EDA if that doesn't work out. So there are a couple of different ideas we can follow on that one. Child care center. I have not let go of that one since moving to the city. We do have a project manager on board. His name is Eric Wilson. He's under contract with the college and Columbia Gorge ESD to keep the project on track. We also have a fundraiser on contract. Jill Burnett is the executive director of Gorge Community Foundation. She's doing outreach to foundations. We'll be doing a proposal to the state for part of the $50 million that the state legislature appropriated for child care capital construction. We're converting the old Chenoweth Middle School into an early learning center. And I want to focus on the term early learning center rather than child care center. Use early learning center, and there's some important reasons for that. We'll take about $15 million. About $2 million has been in hand so far through the college and ESD. Again, going after legislative funding, the state foundation funding. It qualifies for Energy Trust of Oregon. Business Oregon through EPA. We have a proposal to the EPA for $500,000 to remove all of the asbestos from the building. And then through the community outreach team going out to our congressional representatives on both sides of the river. Keep in mind that Senator Murray appropriated $4 million each to several projects across the state of Washington. Senator Wyden's staff has been following this very closely. We had a tour last summer of the building, and next week we'll be meeting with Friends of the Gorge to talk about this building because it's located in the National Scenic Area. And we want to be sure that we answer any questions they may have about that. We'll be working on the inside of the building. We're not expanding the building. That's a critical point. I talked about early learning center over childcare center, early learning, because the building will continue as education. It needs to have that grandfathered use, or the building might go away completely, and the school district would be left with the cleanup cost of asbestos and basically an abandoned building. We can't allow that to happen. Main Street, new board coming on board, fantastic group of individuals there. There was a strategic planning session yesterday at Main Street. Kristen Talamentes is going to be, I believe, the incoming president. I don't think that's quite official yet, but there's a lot of talent there, a lot of enthusiasm, new folks. Really, really encouraging to see that. I'm liaison with the city to Main Street. And I think I have gone through my list there. Again, Lisa, let's get something on schedule about St. Vincent's. I'd like to go into that discussion and really have a better idea of, from everybody's perspective, of what's taking place.
Well, we have an opening next
question?
week, so he could jump on next week if he's ready for that.
Okay, I'm going to be heading, I've got a call at 8 o'clock and I'm heading into town after that, and I'll talk with Matthew. That'll be my first order of business. Okay,
So yeah, let's do that. It's open, so I'll put a tentative hold until I hear from you later on today.
thank you, Lisa, I appreciate it.
You
Any
bet.
questions? I covered a lot of stuff there.
I think
Okay.
yeah.
Especially on urban renewal. Anyone who's interested in the future of the agency, I encourage you to attend 5:30 January 30th, City Hall. Where do we go as an agency? We've put a lot of improvements into downtown the Dalles. The entirety of almost most of West 2nd Street was dropped from the agency way back in 1993 as a result of Measure 5, some of the history that I've been finding out through there. Should we revisit that? There are some vacant industrial parcels out there, things of that nature that could benefit. Strategic questions, things to keep in mind.
Sounds good. With that, we only got 5 minutes. So you got 5 minutes left. You can go grab an extra cup of coffee this morning before you venture to your next meeting. We will go ahead and take any suggestions for speakers. I'll get those lined up and start getting them on the community calendar. Also on the events and Facebook, we'll get those there too. And they will also be listed in our e-blast that comes out on Monday mornings. So remember, Mondays are for the chamber hosted types of events, but Wednesdays are for the community information on those e-blasts. So please get that information to us. We are revamping and kind of re-looking at our newsletter. So right now for January, we're just going to use the e-blast for all of our information. And then February, we'll launch our new digital newsletter. And it looks like I have Matthew calling me right now. So I'm going to sign off and you guys have a great day. Thanks. Just 1 second.